أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون.
Good evening and a warm welcome to GRTS News at 2000 hours. We're broadcasting live for viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In the headlines this hour, GRTS takes a deeper finding on the importance of clinical waste management to the health and safety of humans and environment. Preserving the country's flora and fauna, tourism stakeholders in the West Coast region stress the need of adopting sustainable ecotourism management in attracting high-spending visitors. Over 7 years of implementation, National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA, and partners reviewed the 2015 Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction. In internationals, Sri Lankans roam the ransacked presidential palace after Rajapaksa is chased out. Elsewhere, world's hottest city wells under scorching Pakistan heat waves. Well, those are the top of the stories and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Aisha Duket, thanks for joining us. It's great to have you here with us in the news. We first start the bulletin with clinical waste management, which has been a major challenge for developing countries with health facilities relying on central dumping sites. This situation has forced the government of the Gambia to fast-track transformative efforts of the country's health sector with provision of a standard clinical waste treatment plant in the Farata West Coast region. GRTS Farmer Abaji takes a deeper finding on the importance of clinical waste, and here is this report.
Clinical waste management has ever been a major challenge in the health sector, with a vastly deteriorating situation worsened by COVID-19, creating more panic with health personnel fearing contact with clinical waste. Health facilities in the country grappled with inundated clinical waste management, dumping them in manners that can expose scavengers and the public to risks of contamination.
Waste from a hospital are put into the trailer of a tractor. The tractor takes it in an open trailer and the waste is dumped at the dump sites where domestic waste is also dumped. This is very risky. It is very dangerous. People who go to the dump sites are exposed.
This situation has forced the Gambia government to devise urgent efforts in addressing the challenge of clinical waste management, with funding from the World Bank and the Gambia government, through the Ministry of Health, for the construction of a state-of-the-art waste treatment center in Farata to serve as a refinery for clinical waste. Inaugurating the state-of-the-art eco-sterile clinical waste treatment center, President Adama Barrow said his government is recommitting fresh efforts to modernize health infrastructure.
poor infrastructure and insufficient waste management capacity make matters worse for many countries. Against this background, my government resolved to transform the health sector by modernizing the sector's infrastructure, providing standard equipment, and building human capacity. It is essential to have a solution to the worrying issue of medical waste. This would contribute sufficiently to reducing infection among health workers and the community at large.
Having a way of dealing with this waste is a big plus. It's a very, very big positive step for the people of this country and for healthcare service delivery in this country.
This machine is fully automated, meaning it requires less human power for operations. It can process about 300 kilograms of clinical waste within an hour. Engineers say the machine is environmentally friendly and will help in sanitizing clinical waste without exposing operators to any dangers.
There are no fumes, there are no smokes. It's purely sterilization. And the waste is purely clean and can be used as raw material for some other purposes, like in cement factories, in manufacturing and so on. So this waste is safe. It can be dumped to a normal landfill or a normal dump site.
These use modern waste management technology. They use a microwave system that's going to microwave whatever is put into them and then sterilize them and make them not dangerous for the human beings. And then the residue will be discarded or used for other things.
International partners like the World Bank, who funded the Clinical Waste Treatment Center, have been complementing the Gambia government's efforts to transform the health sector, especially during the COVID pandemic, something World Bank officials say will continue.
So together, we have made an investment of $110 million, and we hope that this can contribute to the improvement of the health system, because the final test is that all the people will have access to a good health system and get the treatment they deserve. And we, as a World Bank, are committed to work with you, not only today, tomorrow, but in the long term. We see ourselves as a long-term partner of the Gambia.
The World Bank financed COVID-19 project has invested over $5 million in establishing environmentally friendly healthcare waste management system in the Gambia. Additionally, the Ministry of Health is expecting 40 more of these modern incinerators. These will be installed in the rural regions, in the health centers and the hospitals to allow treatment of waste on site, since the transport of waste in the rural areas to a centralized location is going to be a challenge.
Clinical waste is referred to as waste generated from health facilities, used by health officials during treatment, operations, and other health-related hazards, usually seen as dangerous waste. With these machines, the struggle of clinical waste management is now a thing of the past, mitigating the work of janitors who go through the drudgery of cleaning and collection, as refrigerated waste trucks will replace tractors in the collection of clinical waste. Officials said this move is expected to greatly reduce the dangers of soil, water and air contamination, as well as environmental pollution. The Ecosteril 75 machine is stationed at the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital, while the Ecosteril 250 is stationed at the treatment center in Farato.
We have in Sana 8 stations at Kotu, Central Medical Store to serve Western 1 health region. We have another one stationed at Kafuta, that is to serve Western 2 health region. We have another one stationed at Farafenye to serve North Bank East health region. We have another one stationed at North Bank West in Esau to serve North Bank West. We have another one stationed at Bansang
serving the Central River region. We have another one stationed at Yerobawol, serving the Upper River region. Another one at Soma, Mansakonko, serving the LRR region. So all these regions have this magnificent material.
Farmer Abaji, GRTS News.
Meanwhile, the Regional Tourism Director for West Coast Region said ecotourism will assist in attracting high-spending visitors while sustainably preserving the country's flora and fauna. Ida Jengjai made these remarks during a stakeholder visit to environmental and tourism sites in the West Coast region. Yusuf Abuja.
As defined by International Ecotourism Society, ecotourism defines responsible travel that conserves the environment and improves the well-being of local people. The practice, also referred to as nature tourism, seeks to minimize the impact brought about by tourism on the environment. The director of Regional Tourism Board in the West Coast region, Ida Jengjai, said tourism helps to secure threatened plant and animal species that depend on nature to survive whilst preserving beauty and natural attraction of ecological settings.
If you want to attract high spenders, these are the types of activities or these are the types of projects that one needs to look into to attract the high spenders, which obviously there will be more benefits to not only the Gambia Tourism Board, but the entire country as large, as tourism cuts across all sectors.
Ecotourism also builds environmental and cultural awareness, providing positive experiences to both visitors and hosts.
My heart bleeds when you see a nice forest being used as a dumping ground. They have patrol people, so they can intensify, increase the number of patrols to ensure that it is not used as a dumping ground. And anybody that wants to come and use it for other purposes, they should say no, because there is nothing more meaningful, more beautiful than nature.
The ecotourism expert recommended economic activities based on local resources and skills to generate income. The Secretary General of Tumani Tender Ecolodge, Momodu Sonko, said ecotourism generates economic welfare by positively and significantly affecting different components of expenditure in household budgets.
Looking the environment, it's alone is something that attracts tourism, because looking behind me, you can see the river there. We normally have bird watching, boat trip. When the tourists came here, they go for bird trip. They also visit the community forest, where they'll be seeing different animals, things like different trees. Because last time we have marked some of the useful trees inside the forest. Things like mahogany and other things, and also the use of it.
The country has massive economic ecotourism potential, but existing challenges such as capacity building, inadequate water supply, and poor road network, among others, constantly minimize the sector's scale. The wealth of low-income nations is often tied up in natural resources like forests, minerals, and land used for agriculture. Exploiting these resources often means destroying wildlife habitats and beautiful natural landscapes available for ecotourism development. Yusuf Bojang, GRTS News.
While still on environmental matters, because the National Disaster Management Agency, NDMA, held a consultative review on the implementation of the 2015 Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction. As Janketure reports, the convergence brought together stakeholders from Banjul and Kanifing municipality.
Participatory engagement sought to review on the gains made on the implementation of the 2015 Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction, with the views to come up with the alternatives to fill existing gaps at municipality levels in reducing the severities of disaster. The Deputy Executive Director of NDMA, Sering Amodijuf, dilated on the significance of the review, noting that it will capture the views and aspirations of communities through their representatives.
The Sendai Framework is an international framework in which the Gambia ratified. If you could recall, in 2015, March 2015, 2015, there was a convergence at a community called Sendai in Japan, in which globally the entire world looked at the issue how disasters are unfolding in the whole of the world, and it has been realized that quite a lot of livelihoods and properties are being lost, and they came out with a framework in which each country is asked to make sure that you domesticate and do something about it, to ensuring that the lives and livelihood of the people are protected. And Gambia, being one of those countries, is supposed to give a report of what the government have been doing and other sectors in relation to the 4 thematic areas that are clearly spelled out in the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. In doing so, we felt that the communities have a role, municipalities have a role, other stakeholders have a role, the UN system, GCCI, etc., etc. So this is the first convergence.
Participants drawn from Banjul and Kanifi municipality area were enjoined to identify threats, hazards, vulnerability, as well as strategies to build the resilience of communities and institutions in reducing the occurrences and impact of disasters.
We are here to take stock of what have been happening from 2015 up to now, because that's why it is called a midterm review. The final review is supposed to come in 2029, because the last meeting for this such convergence is supposed to be in 2030. So before that, nations are preparing themselves to give the actual picture of what is happening, who is doing what, when and where.
There is a need for countries to assess themselves and know how far have they gone, because next year in 2023 there is going to be a global platform in which the United Nations Secretary General will tell the world how far have we gone, what are some of the achievements that have been registered in the implementation of the Sendai. But he cannot do it without member states assessing themselves and then report. It is based on our report that he will be able to also compile those reports and report on behalf of all member states.
The outcome of the gathering is expected to make an outstanding recommendations to scale up national efforts to battle the devastating impacts of disasters at household, communal, and national levels. Jean-Claude Toure, GRTS News.
Away from that, the Serekunda market, which was the busiest few days ago, is less occupied with few vendors and buyers, as most people are still on Idul Adha, commonly known as Tobaski. Aminata E. Sanyang visited the market, and this is her report.
This place was among the busiest in the Serekunda market. Thousands of Gambians stormed this vicinity to shop for Eid. But just few days right after Eid, the place is literally empty, with few vendors who are here to sell the remaining food items they have, and few customers who are here perhaps to replace the few items missing in the kitchen. But it could be recalled that Gambians are aware of the struggle they go through to have access to food items right after Eid. That's why many do shop for food items to sustain them for few days. Also in the other section of the market is the clothing section. The place was amongst the busiest, but today very empty, with few vendors who are here to sell the remaining clothes they have. But the market is expected to be occupied with vendors and of course customers in the coming days. That will be when the Eid ambience ends. Reporting for GRTS News here in the Serekunda market, I am Aminata E. Sanyang.
Moving on, the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources, in partnership with the Japanese government, launched Rural Water Supply Project. The project is supported by Japan through JICA. As Jean-Claude Toure reports, the ceremony was attended by cabinet ministers, governors, ambassadors, and a cross-section of society.
Amidst singing, drumming and dancing while witnessing the launch of water project in Farabasutu, courtesy of the Japanese government through the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA. The overall objective of the water facility is safe and reliable drinking water supply to remote communities. The governor of West Coast Region, Usman Bojang, dilated on the significance of the project, which forms part of government's commitment under President Barrow to provide safe drinking water to communities.
The President, His Excellency Adama Barrow, strives to give every Gambian a safe drinking water and improve sustainable, safe water to all communities. And having the Japanese government as a partner in this venture shows his commitment to all Gambians.
In this community, water supplies have traditionally been a challenge as community relied on local pumps to fetch water. This water project is the fourth phase of the rural drinking water supply, mainly targeting 62 rural communities.
This project, funded by the Japanese government, within the framework of the grass assistance, consists in constructing 20 water supply systems to provide safety and quality drinking water to 62 rural communities. And on the estimate, more than 50,000 people, particularly women and children, could benefit from this project.
For the representative of JICA Chief Agency, the initiative came as a result of the partnership between the two governments, thus assured Japan's continued support to the Gambia.
Regarding water supply, although the Gambia has made remarkable progress in terms of national access to basic drinking water, there is still big challenges to be tackled in the access to safety managed drinking water services. In response to such a situation in the Gambia, JICA has a long history of cooperation in water and fishery sectors. Indeed, the government of Japan through JICA has provided 3 grant aid projects for the construction of water supply facilities and the procurement of materials and equipment.
The groundbreaking ceremony was well attended by dignitaries, government ministers, donor partners, and stakeholders in the water and the energy sector. Musa Drame, the Minister of Fisheries, noted that access to sources of safe drinking water are not only fundamental to the health and survival of people, but also to the economic growth and the development of the country, assuring government's resolve to cater for the needs of Gambians.
We are here today to yet again witness the launching of another milestone water project, Phase 4. Mr. Chairman, the provision of safe drinking water to rural communities is sacrosanct for rural development, as its consumption will reduce incidence of ill health caused by waterborne diseases. This preventive health approach with safe water will reduce the medical bills of households and cost of importation of curative drugs by the Gambia government. The Gambia government is conscious of the importance of safe drinking water for the country's population. Hence, it is making all necessary plans for sustainability of the facilities.
For the beneficiaries like Alcalo of Farabasutu Aliu Sanyang said the event is an important day in the history of the village, while commending efforts of Japan and the government of the Gambia for the initiative. Alcalo Sanyang lamented that water shortage has greatly affected his community. The Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, is also expected to provide solar water supply facilities which promote the use of renewable energy for rural communities in the Gambia. Janket Toure, GRTS News.
Now, Eid Festival is beautifully observed in the Gambia, marked by a great sense of fashion. The period witnessed displays of African attire online by both men and women, accompanied with Eid wishes and prayers. While Aminata E. Sanya examines the level of Eid elegance showcased on the cyberspace, and she filed in this report.
In the Gambia, Eid al-Adha takes a religious and cultural outlook, with celebrants using the moment to transform their wardrobes in a spectacular display of traditional fashion and style. Festivities are welcomed with new attire and flamboyant dresses, uniquely designed by haberdashers, whose stunning creativity adds immense color to the festival. The next episode mostly happens online, as Gambians showcase their Eid outfits in the biggest display of local culture. Done in an exclusive way with trendy Eid hashtags for online parades, draped with beautiful outfits, Twitter has become a new platform, enhancing this beautiful trend over the years. The Eid al-Adha is observed by Muslims in the Gambia amid a remarkable fashion display. Gambia's Eid festivities are observed by a unique modification of apparels with haberdashers designing stunning African attires for men and women. Social media is now an avenue for Gambians to celebrate unique bonds through culture. Facebook and Instagram are also accommodating the beautiful display, marking a trendy new online fashion walkway, which comes with frames and Eid Mubarak captions. The Eid wears are stunningly tucked in African fabric, availing celebrants a moment to bask in joy and elegance. Fabric sewn in beautiful kaftans for men, whilst the evening saw a vivid display of designs and remarkable bliss, spreading a high sense of positive energy. This momentum has also taken in the Gambian diaspora, which avails themselves the opportunity to feel home despite the distance. The emergence of apps brought about a unique way to celebrate Eid, bringing people together to uniquely celebrate the festivals online. Aminata E. Sanyang, GRTS.
Well, actually making it difficult for you to distinguish who is who. Now, meanwhile, the Kuwait-based charitable organization Direct Aid's annual Eid al-Adha support saw the slaughtering and distribution of more than 200 bulls in different parts of the country. GRTS's Khadija Tujala visited Brufut and Banjulinding and filed in this report.
Kuwait-based charitable organization Direct Aid is among leading NGOs supporting humanitarian activities in the Gambia, spanning over 3 decades. This annual gesture during the Tobaski celebrations is among many humanitarian interventions by the charitable organization. The objective of the Tobaski meat distribution, according to officials, is to share with the less privileged and help those who can afford the sacrificial ram to have meat for the feast. Abdul Latif Hurao is the director, Direct Aid.
This year we have more than 200 bulls, so almost 207 exactly. And we are trying to cover most areas of the Gambia, and mainly the rural areas, where this year we have bought the bulls from the poorest areas of the Gambia. So we have injected quite a lot of resources in the rural area, which is very good, and which is the philosophy of Direct Aid, is to assist in providing food, and also to try to help the needy people in the rural areas by buying from there, which allows them to afford other things than just meat for this occasion, which is Tobaski.
The center manager for Brufut and Banyulunding, Benesa and Jai Ul Talib Haidara, explained the process of this year's Tobaski bull distribution.
Today we are here with our brothers, sharing the happiness and celebrating this Tobaski. And at the beginning, I wish happy Tobaski for all our brothers Muslims in this country, in the whole world. We have around 6,210 families have benefits from this Tobaski package. In Bandurunding, we have around 28 cows, and we start first day of Tobaski. We start killing. Second day we start killing for the different villages. We have around 28 cows, and we give it to all our brothers here in around Bandurunding area, Konkujan, Wulingara, Sinchol Haj, Abuko.
Beneficiaries we spoke to at both centers took turns to express their appreciation to Direct Aid for the continuous support, a move they said complements government efforts in improving life and livelihoods.
Allah Ta'ala man satalla be jola lungume alonko la yanfa'u malun wala banuna illa man atallaha biqalbin salim.
Aside from the bulls distributed in different parts of the country, the 4 centers in Banyulunding, Brufut, Tubakuta, and Farafenya, officials reveal more than 20 bulls were also slaughtered to distribute among those living around the area. They thank the head office and the people of Kuwait for providing for the needy. Khadija Tujalo, reporting for GRTS News.
While in a similar but separate engagement, Direct Aid International has also extended its Tobaski donation to Govi, Garhog and others. Khadijatu Jallo again.
The visually impaired, Govi, and the hard of hearing, Gadhog, and the Paralympians were the latest beneficiaries of Direct Aid's annual Eid donation. Each of the three organizations got a bull and slaughtered on the second day of Eid al-Adha. Dudulum of Gadhog, Musambai of Govi, and Haji Drame, who spoke on behalf of the Paralympians, all hailed Direct Aid for the continuous generosity during festive periods.
The world is very, very hard now, but Direct Aid always have something special for the people of disability, and we are so grateful. And this is a very important day for us here. In the second day of the Tobaski feast, and all the members of the Gambia National Paralympic Committee have gathered here today to receive their share of this bowl. And I know it is going to go a very big way for them. It is going to help them with their families. And it's very difficult for some of them to have their own to slaughter. But today, alhamdulillah, this is a big bull that has been given to us.
Khadijatu Jallo, reporting for GRTS News.
Well, this is GRTS News with me, Aissatou Keita. We will go for our first break and look at news from beyond our borders right after. Stay.
Hello, Sister Nya here, and today we are doing the unboxing of the AfriCell 4G LTE CPE router. Have you gotten yours yet? Here it is. All right, now let's do the unboxing of the AfriCell 4G CPE router. I do love the sound of opening new stuff. And this right here is a beauty. What you don't know is it also takes you for an extra 6 hours of charge when there's no power. No power, no problem. Get your CPE routers now at your nearest AfriCell outlet and thank me later.
Welcome back. Now, Sri Lanka's roamed through the ransacked presidential palace on Sunday as calm returned to Colombo, a day after protesters stormed the building and forced President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to agree to resign. Details of that in this report by France 24.
Agitation has given way to relaxation in Colombo this Sunday, or more precisely, inside Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence. A sharp contrast to the lives of many in Sri Lanka, where inflation has shot up by over 54%. For the protesters, this is victory, as the president will be stepping down on Wednesday.
He's been expelled by the citizens of Sri Lanka. This is a triumphant moment.
He doesn't have the sovereignty of the people. What those who love this country now need to do is unite so we can rebuild Sri Lanka.
Further down the city's coastline, soldiers stand guard outside the burnt walls of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe's home, set alight on Saturday night. Neither the President nor the Prime Minister were in at the time, as Sri Lankans from across the country descended on Colombo by bus, train, foot or bike. But as protesters celebrate their resignations, some are warning that further uncertainty may be around the corner.
This is going to be an extremely critical time to ensure there's political stability as well as economic stability at a time where there's also a law and order situation erupting. So if violence is not contained, there is concern that this is going to deepen the crisis. So very, very important times ahead for Sri Lanka.
Gotabaya Rajapaksa, once celebrated as a hero in the civil war against Tamil rebels, and six-time Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe will now allow an interim government to step in, as the Rajapaksa family's grip on power continues to loosen after years of control over Sri Lankan politics. The next cabinet will take over with a colossal task at hand, lifting the country out of its worst economic crisis in 7 decades.
Well, quite an interesting development there. Elsewhere, Pakistan and its 220 million inhabitants lie on the front line of the climate emergency, pummeled by blistering heat waves. The country is home to one of the world's hottest cities. France 24 News has more on that climatic report.
Heat becomes almost unbearable in Jacobabad. The temperature can go as high as 51 degrees centigrade. The city is one of the hottest in the world. People use different methods to cool off. But despite record temperatures, laborers on this construction site continue their work.
Working in this heat is very difficult. Sometimes when I work, I get dizzy. I feel like my body is drained of all its energy. But I have no choice. If I don't earn money, I can't feed my family. I will continue to do this job as long as my body allows me to.
Azizullah is paid 700 Pakistani rupees per day, or about 3 euros for 8 hours of work. It's barely enough for him to feed his wife and 3 children.
This is where we sleep. We only have one fan. There are often power cuts, and sometimes for 6 hours we don't have electricity. Then we have to use this hand fan.
The heat combined with high humidity makes life almost unbearable. Heat strokes due to high temperatures are common.
What's happening to you? Do you feel dizzy? Were you outside? Did you get the heat? These days, we mainly have patients who are victims of sunstroke. They have gastroenteritis. Their blood pressure is low because of the heat. We advise everyone to take precautions in this time. If you have to work, you should go early in the morning and should avoid going outside or working in the afternoon when it's very warm.
But Jacobabad faces many challenges. The city is one of the poorest in the country. Here, the drinking water is in the hands of a water mafia, and the local population is forced to pay for it.
Well, we will leave it at that and look at our main points once again. GRTS took a deeper finding on the importance of clinical waste management to the health and safety of humans and environment, preserving the country's flora and fauna. Tourism stakeholders in the West Coast region have stressed the need of adopting sustainable ecotourism management in attracting high-spending visitors. Over 7 years of implementation, National Disaster Management Agency and partners reviewed the 2015 Sendai Framework on Disaster Risk Reduction. In the internationals, Sri Lankans roamed the ransacked presidential palace after Rajapaksa is chased out. Elsewhere, world's hottest city wilted under scorching Pakistan heat waves. Well, that was all we had time for in this edition of GRTS News at 2000 hours. Do join me again at 2200 hours for more news and updates. Until then, I am Aissatou Keita and thanks for watching.